Peace, peace. It's the intentions. And I'm gonna read this document of what I found about the former owner of the slaves in the United States in 1830. All right, now look, like I noticed some people in the comments. They say that some of the stuff I was reading off is not true. I never said everything I'm reading off is true. I'm trying to correlate some of the information with some of the information I already got. So if I gotta go back and read other stuff to get it, then that's what I need to do. But at the end of the day, you got to take we all, like I said, some of us, we got myths of us being so-called aborigines. Some other people might have a little bit more connection to some of their roots, but how much roots do any of us got? None of us remember your natural language. None of us got indigenous names or whatever. So, if you got a European name, I mean you was already colonized, and so was your people, and so was my people. So that's the one thing, the things that we all got going on as far as, you got some people out there who did find out that their family was involved in, in some of these tribes, and, they was able to go back grandmothers and do all that. They were still classified as Negroes and colors at that point in time. You understand what I'm saying? So, if it came up, if it was past the 1800s, at that point in time, people was already colonized, and people who was formerly aborigines were now working and going to church and being Christians and all that. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So let's understand that or whatever, because if they came in the 1600s, that's 200 years. If they was already talking about colonizing everybody and colonizing them and making them convert to Christianity and teaching them English and all that and civilizing you or whatever the fuck, civilizing. So civil, making you civil or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So nonetheless though, if you at that point or whatever, like I said, nobody is the guru on this shit, because I learned a lot of stuff from different people, but I didn't learn one complete, you know what I'm saying, I didn't learn one complete story about what happened over, because there's many different stories being told by many different people among the information that we getting out there. So that being said, I'm just gonna read on. I'll be giving some commentary in between. You know how we do or whatever. So let's do this one, all right? So I'm reading this from the LatinAmericanStudies.org, okay? Slavery. Now, I'm not telling you everything in this article is true. I'm not trying to tell you that these are all your ancestors. I'm gonna be going through some names. Basically right now what I'm gonna do is this is 1830. Remember, the Trail of Tears wasn't until 1835. Okay, 1835. Or matter of fact, it might have been 1831 or whatever. It might have been 1 year after whatever this document was. But this is documenting all the free slave owners, and these is on all of the 50 states. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go directly to the territory of what we consider to be Cherokee Nation. All right, let me see something. I want to see what this one. Alright, let me see something. Deep fried until it tastes delicious. We have the meat. Attention, if you avoid the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down. I'm just gonna give you my influence of why I did it. Now, there's most of the different spots that I found showed me different territories, but if they move south of the Mississippi, like I said, we know that Cherokees originally was in the territory of North Carolina. Remember the Carolinas. I'm gonna say the Carolinas, all right, because that's what it was called. And that was prior to Georgia being there and everything else. Let me see if this the page where I was reading some of this stuff from. I just wanted to just give you a brief overview of where we was at before when we was talking about pretty much. Alright, so yeah, this is Cherokee Nation. So this is basically where Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and all that area will be in. So yeah, this is exactly what I was reading. Alright. And this is, like I said, this might not be everything true. This might not be the 100% truth on this or whatever, but at least it help you build to what we already know. This is Ancestry Genealogy. Alright, it's a free genealogy resource. Alright. So let's check this out. Let's read this. So this is a primary areas that we went over in the last Cherokee video. So it's a Cherokee Indian, powerful detached tribe of the Iroquois family, formerly holding the whole mountain region of the southern Alleghenies. It's in Southwest Virginia, Western North Carolina, South Carolina, North Georgia, East Tennessee, and Northeast Alabama. It's a climbing even into the Ohio River. So I'm gonna deal with them states. I'm gonna deal with VA. I'm gonna deal with the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee and Alabama. So we're gonna run through them states. All right. So let's do this. All right. So give you a brief overview of what we about to get into. It's a free slave owners in the United States in 1830. It's a taking up the study of the free Negroes in the United States. The Research Department Association for the Studies of Negro Life and History decided to make a statistical report as to the head of the families. They say their ownership and their slave social relation with the whites. They say the aim was facilitated to further studies of this neglected group. Most of these people have been forgotten for persons supposedly well informed in history are surprised to learn today that about half a million, almost 1/7 of the Negroes of this country were free prior to Emancipation Proclamation of 1865. They say these, of this country, they say were free. Okay, I read that. I say these names will therefore serve as a link between the past and present, and will thereby lessen the labor of the research in the field. They say there were several reasons for selecting the census record of 1830. They say in the first place, the earliest records do not give as much information as the census of 1830. They say at that time, moreover, free Negroes had reached the highest mark in the district class. Okay, so remember that it reached the highest mark in the district class. And remember, these free Negroes could be already people who was, when they got here, they decided to work with them, and they went to schools, and they was taught how to be, they was taught the ways of how Europe was, and they was colonized. And by 1830, remember, if they came to Jamestown in Virginia in 1605. First wars and all that broke out 1622. That's 200 years. So by this time right here, some of these people already done forgot where they was and where they came from, even at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? Unless they, they might not even know. They probably didn't even know some of the stories or whatever. All they know that they was already integrated into society. All right, so it's the reaction was set earlier in the century restricted their freedom. They say, and in many cases expelled them from the South. They say this census then evidently reports the names of the largest group of representative free Negroes than any other census prior to their database. They say to a lower status. They say or their migration to the South. They say this track reached. They say this track reached highest point between 1830 and 1835. So most of the free Negroes in the North, they say in 1830 had been there for some years. The census record showed the majority of the Negro owners of slaves were such from a point of view was philanthropy. They say in many instances the husband purchased the wife or vice versa. The slaves belonged to such family were few compared with large numbers found among the whites on the well-developed plantation. Slaves and Negroes were in some cases the children of free fathers who had purchased the wife. It said he did not thereafter emancipate the mother, as so many such husbands failed to do. It said his children were born his slave and were thus reported by the enumerators. It say, okay, all right, so boom, so you heard that, right? So look, let's read that again. So it say if he did not thereafter emancipate the mother. So it's saying that if the mother wasn't a free person, then the children will be slaves. They say as many such husbands failed to do it. So his children were born his slaves and were thus reported by the enumerators as being his slaves. Alright, so that's some interesting stuff. Maybe y'all could put some of that stuff together and say some of these husbands were not anxious to liberate their wives immediately. They're considered to be advisable to put them on probation for a few years. Oh shit. So he said that the wife, he put them on probation for a couple years. They say if they did not find them satisfactory, they will sell their wives as other slaveholders dispose of Negroes. Now y'all heard that, right? Okay, y'all heard that. Y'all heard that, right? Yo, damn. Alright, let me read that again. Alright. So some of the husbands was not anxious to liberate their wives. Now we talking about black people, okay? We talking about free black slave owners. This is what we talking about, and this is pretty much what this article about. And we're gonna get through it shit. But at this point in time, excuse me, do you hear what they saying? Some of the husbands were not anxious to liberate their wives immediately. They considered it to be advisable to put them on probation for a few years. So that's like putting a woman on what's that shit called that they be having? I can't think of it right now. The shit that some of these niggas be having when they marry these women, whatever. I can't think of it right now. I'll put it in the comments. Somebody gonna figure it out. Well, it says for a few years, if they did not find them satisfactory, they will sell their wives and other slave holders dispose of Negroes. Okay? 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 For example, a Negro shoemaker in Charleston, South Carolina, wow, purchased his wife for $700. On finding her hard to please. Check this shit out, y'all. God, this shit is crazy, yo. When you read through this lot of this information, man, this shit is crazy, yo. I gotta laugh, yo. I'm serious. I'm about to read this. Let me get with this, alright? So I say, alright, so the shoemaker purchased the wife for $700. It say, but on finding her hard to please, he sold her for a few months thereafter for $750, gaining $50. So he made a profit off of selling his wife back to slavery. Okay. It say by the transaction, the writer personally knew a man in Cumberland County, Virginia, whose mother was purchased by his father. It say who had first bought himself, becoming a namer, whatever it say, of a man slave. It say she gave him her husband. It's a manumission papers that they might escape together to free the soil. Upon detecting this plot, the officers of the law got the impression that her husband had turned over the papers to the slave and arrested the free man for supposed offense. They say he had such difficulties in enticing whatever himself from the complications that his lawyer fees amount to his $500. Say to pay them, and say he disposed of his faithfulest wife for that amount. All right, so basically, she had a plot to move away. That's why they said that they was putting them on probation, because saying that a lot of these women was just marrying these niggas or whatever. And who knows what the situation was at that time? A lot of these women could have been young girls, man. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what the situation was at this time? Okay, now we talking about 1830, all right? We talking about 1830. Okay, so best believe some of these girls that these niggas was marrying was under the age of 18. Alright? So let's keep it moving. So it say benevolent Negroes, alright? That means Negroes that's trying to be peaceful. We say often purchased slaves to make their lot easier by gaining them their freedom. It say for a normally sum, or permitting them to work it out on liberal terms. Alright, John Barry Meacham, a Negro Baptist minister in St. Louis, thus came into possession of as many as 20 slaves in 1836. The exploitation type of Negro slaveholder, moreover, sometimes feeling the sting of the conscience, and say liberated his slaves. Thus, Samuel Gibson, a Negro of Mississippi, in 1844. Excuse me. Let me get some water. He brought 6 slaves to Cincinnati, Ohio, and settled them on free territory. Practical. All of these Negro slave holders were in the South. It say thus the fact was extracted from the manuscript return of those for those who took the census in the United States in 1830. After Carter G. Woodson, the editor, had first copied the records of one state and acquainted himself in detail with the information given in the census report. That the statistics were then occupied under his direction by three persons. One of them has had the advantage of 2 years normal training after finishing high school, and saying 2 of whom had finished college courses at Howard University and the University of Michigan. And say the matter thus collected was then verified by Mr. Alruftius. It say a teller. It say a alumnus. It say of Michigan, and a Harvard Master of Art and History and Economics, now employed Associate Investigation of Associates for the study of Negro life and history. Further verification was made to Carter G. Woodson. Say these records was copied just as those who took the census returned their finding. The other change made in the case of the Negro slave owners was to write the family name first. Alright, so what he said is, let me read that one more time. Alright. It said the records was copied just as those who took the census returned their findings. Alright. It said the only changes made of the Negro owners of the slaves. Alright, so it said that the Negro owner of the slave, the only thing he did was write the family name first. So if you see these documents and see them somewhere else and see it differently, he's telling you that he wrote the name first to let you know. Alright, it say the rule of which these enumerators did not follow. So he said the enumerators, the people who did the census, just came out and did them probably anyway. That's the reason why when I was just reading this shit right here, it's so unclear. Like this, what I put up here yesterday, it's kind of unclear when you get to some of the like some of the charts and shit, and some of the names of the people. You know what I'm saying? Let me see, man. It's taking a minute to load up. Let me pull up. Oh, they're still loading up, people. Alright, you know how it is with this research, man. Sometimes, alright, here it goes. Say head of the families at the first census. Alright. So what we reading from is 1830. This is 1872 to 1885. Alright. So It's the article. Check it out. I start putting this stuff in a link, y'all. My bad, people. Alright, so it shows you different classes. Let me see. I think it's on this page. I just want to give y'all a rough estimate of what they're showing. See, it shows free white males of 16 years and upward, including head of family, free white male under 16, free white females, including head of family. It say, and all other free persons. And as you see, when you go to all other free persons, you see in certain states they're very prevalent. Okay, and plus it say slaves. Okay, so you know what I mean, but it's kind of like unclear because some of the census, when you get to the names, because it's going to show you names. Like these are all the states or all the different counties within. I guess this will be, I guess, VA. Yeah, it is Virginia. See. Alright, so these are different counties in Virginia. After you just giving your overall, now these are the head of the families when you start reading this. Now, along the side right here, what I was trying to find, I was trying to understand what this meant. Even though I read through the introduction to everything, or what it was trying to pretty much explain, it kind of like this kind of deviated. I didn't really understand. I'm thinking that these people are slaves, man. It say white and black. It say name of head of family. It say white and black. All right, it's not giving you nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Unless them are the titles. But look at the way it is. This the first column. Boom. Unless there's another column, this the first column. You think this one will be white. This one will be black. Where's the other column for this one or for this one? This one is the next one. So I'm thinking that this is how many so-called slaves, or this is something that they jobbed out, man. You know, so alright, so look, so them are some of the names. You know, if y'all run through this, you can probably find some of y'all surnames or whatever. They get some of the other names. It's a very interesting document. I'm gonna go through this one again when I get the time or whatever. It has a lot of stuff in it. It has to be. It's a little bit more complicated than this one. This is basically just showing you the free blacks in the South. All right. So where was we at? We was down here. So it said the only change made in case of the Negro owners of slaves were to write the family names first. It say a rule which enumerators did not follow. It say some enumerators made no distinction to race in recording the names. It say but merely indicate the status of the head of the family under free person of color. Okay, say other enumerator wrote Negro or color or use F or C. So just remember, you're looking at some of these documents. It says it say or use F or C. It say for free person of color. Okay, or free. It say free man of color, free woman of color. It say for free woman of color directly after the name. Okay, so it say the question mark after the name or figure or in the column indicates that the record is such that the facts could not actually be determined. So I say documents. Slavery, however, at that time had not been exterminated altogether in the North. Is saying even there, the Negroes was following in the footsteps of the white man. Say after as this report will show, in the South, where almost all the Negro slaveholders were, it say found. Moreover, we found some of them competing with the large planters in the numbers of slaves they own. Okay, so they said they was competing, right? They was bragging, like, yo, I own this many slaves. It say most of such Negroes I'm sorry, my bad, You know I was gonna have a moment, all right. So it say lived in Louisiana, South Carolina, Maryland, and Virginia. It's saying did not majority of all such slave owners. It said there are moreover a few instances of confusing absentee ownerships with Negro ownerships. Okay, sometimes a free Negro had change of plantation. It say but did not own the slaves himself. It say the enumerator turned him as an owner of a slave. All right, so you see some of this stuff is not going to be accurate as according to what they're telling you. But guess what? We're just trying to absorb from whatever we can absorb from this information, all right? So some of you guys gonna catch on to this and we're gonna understand. Remember, we looking at the slave, the free. These are basically freemen at this time, okay? So let's keep on going. It says, accepting those of Louisiana, one may say that most of the Negro owners of slaves lived in urban communities in those parts of the South where the influence of a kind planter near the coast was not felt. The Negro owner of slaves did not frequently appear. The free Negroes themselves, moreover, encountered such difficulties in the lower South and Southwest. They say that they had to seek more hospitality communities in free states. So it's saying that they was already like not being fully accepted. They already had problems. This is saying in the South, saying in the North they had it a little bit more easier with owning them. Alright, saying by 1840, it said the trend toward degrading the free Negroes to lower status had become evident. It said even apparently benevolent slaveholder states. Say just before the outbreak of the Civil War, the free Negroes were receiving practically no consideration in the South and very little in the North. Say history repeats itself then in showing the varying attitude of whites towards blacks in the circle of the national development. Alright, so it's saying that as it going on, they started not being accepted whether they were free or not. Alright, so I say the columns given the age does not every time give the age of the head of the families. In some instances, the age of the head of the families cannot be actually figured out. They say the age here given in that the oldest person in the family of the sex indicated as head of the family. They say the record that sex, moreover, is often confusing. The name of the male sometimes given as the head of the family, while in sex is indicated as the female, or vice versa. And 80% of the cases where an investigator tested, however, it can be shown that this is the actual age of the head of the family. They say 10 through 24 means between the ages 10 and 24, 24 to 30 means between the age of etc. They say the column titled slaves give the number of slaves owned by the head of the family. Alright, so we're going to just run through some of this. Alright, so it say total meaning the number of persons in the family together. It say with all of the slaves, this enabled the students to figure out for himself whether the slaveholding was the actual exploitation or benevolent. Hold on, let me read that again. Alright, the total number of persons in the family excuse me, the total numbers of persons in the family together with the slaves. Alright, so as we get it, you're going to see there's going to be number of family and slave. They say this enables the student to figure out whether the slave holding was an act of exploitation. So when we say exploitation, was these motherfuckers, Negroes, using these other Negroes or these other whites or whatever to explore them, just as you know what I'm saying, like as a machine or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or benevolent. I mean, was these your family members? Like we said, if they did not emancipate the mother, the children would be. So if this nigga had 8 children by this one woman, then all 8 children might have been his slaves. Alright? So take that into consideration. The small number of slaveholders, however, does not always signify benevolence on the part of the owners. Alright? So, alright, this is Alabama. I said Alabama, the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia. Them the ones we gonna run through. Alright? So, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so here it is. So y'all get ready. Let's do this. So this is in Alabama. So I'm not saying this is accurate. I don't know where people family from, but if you already trace your family back to some of these states and some of these names, are of some of your families, then you already know what to look for. Alright, so that's where I'm putting this at. Alright, so Alabama, it got the counties on the side: Clarks, Dallas, Lawrence, Madison. I'm not going to do that for every state because there's a lot of states. Okay, but for the most part, I'm just trying to give y'all an overall understanding. Like I said, I'm gonna put this in the description, man. I promise. I'm gonna definitely put this in the description for those of y'all who want to look at it and want to, you know what I'm saying? Just look at it, man, and just show people that there's charts of names, man. All right. So it's a, see on the side, it got the other townships. In the middle right here, these are slaves. These are total. These are the total of people. So when they say, remember, right here it says the slaves. How many slaves that meant James Meggs he owned one slave. The total of people in his family was 2, so it probably was just him and that one person. It might have been his wife or whatever. It say age 35 through 55. All right. So now, if you look, a lot of these people are much older, and there's a reason for that or whatever. When you see these some of these younger kids are either their children, but that's what he was saying. You can't tell because it might be their children. You can't separate them from some of these people who just got young children and hell knows what the hell was going on. You know what I'm saying? Because they was already colonized at that point in time. So, all right, so let's go. So you see, these are the names. So these are the names. See, we see some of the names: Hatcher, Harris, Smith. None of them are Sizemore. I don't know too many blacks with the last name Sizemore. Got Robinson, Blanks. I know a few Blanks. I know some Evans. Now remember, this is in Alabama, y'all. So that's just to touch on. So if some of these names look familiar, then you do your research on that. And this is all in Alabama. All right. So then it's moving on to Arkansas. So let me see what was next. I want to do Virginia, but Virginia, I'm gonna do. Hold up, Carolina. The Carolinas first. Carolina, like around here. Okay, yeah, we could do Maryland too. Why not? Because all that's in that region anyway. Like you said, some of the people from Maryland could have migrated to North Carolina. So we're gonna do all that region right here. I think this is where Maryland starts from. All right, so I'm gonna read some of the more noticeable names for those of you guys who want to do the research. Look at it. If some of your names not up there, I'm not trying to be biased or nothing. I'm just trying to. I'm looking for the more noticeable Negro names that I know. All right, so just bear with me on that. I'm gonna put the article in the description, and you're more than welcome to open this up yourself. All right, so here we start with Maryland. So we got some. I see Lee right here, Robinson, Stewart, Thomas, Williams, Watkins, Smith. Them are all noticeable names, black names. Johnson, not Harvey, Jacobs. Y'all know a few black people named Jacob, Dorsey, and Anderson, Wells, Waters, Chase, Wells, Burns, Fleetwood, Gray, yeah, Johnson, Lee. You know what? Let me read across, man, so I won't make this shit confusing. So we go out here. These all the names: Barnes, Chase, Waters, Wells, Dorsey, Jacobs, Jackson. Here we got Robinson, and then you see, like I said, and just curious. I'm looking for the one with the younger ages, because remember the ages is right here. These are the ages. And that gives you a range of how old the people are in that house. Alright? So, Man, it might be a pretty long video if I help him get through this. I gotta help him get just trying to put out what I can put out while I got the, you know what I'm saying, time to really do it. So we got Thomas, Anderson, Barnett, you know, a few Barnetts, a few Banks, a few Burks, Talberts, nah, I mean maybe, Robinson, Johnston's, Robinsons, Phillips, Elliott's. I don't know too many Elliott's. I know Clark, Wallace, Harding, Cooper, Green, Smith, Nelson, Cooper, Fisher, Williams, Castle, Grayson, say Grant, Franklin, Brown, and so forth. All right, and Young. See Young up here, Wilson, Stevens. All right, so more Maryland continues. All right, so we got more. We got Blake. I know he's black. You make Blake now. Allen, yeah. Henderson, yeah. Lewis, yeah. Robinson, Pinckney, Smith, Morris, Stewart, Mitchell, Howard, Anderson, Cohen, Williams, Gamble, Smith, Carroll, Johnson, Parker, and Johnson again. All right. All right. See the ages. All right. We got Robinson. Oh yeah, we got did all that. Griffin, Scott, Thompson, Hicks, Butler, Clark, West, Howard, Gals. I know a few Gals. Curtis. Hold on, let me not go too far. So we got Morris, Smith, Hall, Bishop, Wallace, Williams. They said Whipper, Luke Whipper. Look, Smith, Whipper. I wonder where the fuck this name came from, y'all. Luke Whipper. Okay. We got Hooper. I don't know no Wicks. Jones, Hicks, Dorsey, Brown, Preston. Do we know any Preston? Brown, Jackson, Clark. When I had more Smiths, Miller, Johnston, Young. Because John Tenn might have came out to be Johnson. So remember, these are basically interchangeable names. These names derive from other European. See Jackson, Clark, see you got Johnson, Clark, Carey, Brooks, Cooks, Gibson, Griffin, Scott, Gray. Excuse me. You got Bradley, Johnson, Williams, Johnson, Stevens, Jackson, Brown, Mickles. I know a Mickle. Brown again, Walker, Cook, Brooks, Curry, maybe. Johnson, of course. Maryland continues. You got Butler, Parker, Gordon, Thomas, Hawkins, Johnston, Glover, Johnston again, Shields. Do we know any black people named Shields or any Aborigines? Brown. On this side we got Patterson, Cooper, Jones, Evans. All right, and then remember, y'all, these are different counties. So as you going through this, when you go, if you ever go in here, you got the time, and you really trying to seek to find out, you go through this or whatever, and you look in the counties. Maybe some of your people still live in them counties now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of your people still live in that area, or maybe you might talk to them. They say, yeah, well, we live in this county. So that's the way that you can pretty much like do your research on this. You know what I'm saying? When you do your research, because what I was doing was I was matching this with the 1790 census, and I found a lot of people on some of these, not on the Maryland list. Well, I ran through Maryland and Virginia, because remember, Maryland and Virginia is pretty much the same, and some of the Carolinas. I matched all that with Virginia, okay, to see if maybe some of the people originated in VA, okay. So as we go along, we got Washington. I'm going down. I'm right here on Durham District. Queens, Butler, Ray, Johnson. Excuse me. Butler, Collins, Hill. Hall, Butler, Hawkins, Smith, Dotson, Moore, Day. And on this side, we got Turner, Clark, Boone. I don't know too many people named Murray, Blake, Green. Keep it moving. Green, Jacobs, Chase, Stokely, maybe, West, Robinson, Morrison, sorry, Moore, Dotson, Smith again. Yeah, elected district number 2. Alright, so yeah, these are all the districts. Alright, so Maryland again. We're gonna finish up with Maryland. I might have to make another part of this because it's a lot of time. When we get to North Carolina and some of those states got a lot more. And this is all in Maryland. So in Maryland, all these people was free slaveholders. All right, hold on for a second, people. So you telling me, as we read in the other document yesterday about Native American timeline, that's why I read through that, because a lot of people don't believe that Indians had slaves. Read through that. I know a lot of stuff wasn't 100% accurate, but guess what? Most of the shit that people are saying these days is not 100% accurate. If you read enough information, you should be able to correlate information with other information, all right? We can't start from, oh, well, this book, and you understand, because you're not going to come out with a proper understanding. If you never seen a Powhatan, if you don't know what the grass skirt is, if you don't know what the feather crown is, if you don't know what the Indians look like that they took to Europe at this point in time, then you going to still think you are a red man. You just going to think, oh, I got this in my blood. If they not telling you that the original tribe, original people was already in the Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, all up and down the East Coast. They was already there. They got pushed further west. You understand? So, let me keep on going. You got Lloyd, Dickinson, Johnson, Matthew, Jenkins, Green, Thompson, Moore. They say Richard Moore. Moore, and it's spelled M-O-O-R. They say Thompson. Alright. Stanley, Sampson, Coleman, Thompson, Holiday, Johnson, Young. I think this is the end of see, Maryland is long. Alright. Burnett, Lee, John, Smith, Brown, Lee, Johnson, Hooper, Ross, Cook, Mitchell, Boone, Hawkins, Gaines, Gray, Harper, Pratt, Georgia, Dorsey, Davis, Hill, Robertson. We got Blake, Cromwell. Cromwell, remember Cromwell. Cromwell. That's the chief of the Wampanoag, Cedric Cromwell. Alright. Key. I mean, we got Alicia Keys. That's it. I don't know too many keys. I know a few Murdochs, Roberts, Todd, Johnsons, Morgan, Smith, Hall, Banks, Scott, Amos, Whitmore. Yeah, we know a couple of Whitmores. Andersons, Ward. See, it's a lot in Virginia. You see all these people in Virginia. And if you look, and you'll see the ages. Alright, so we got Warner, Warren, Holiday, see? Rogers, Boyer. You know any Boyers, perhaps? Thomas. Because remember, Thomas could be Thomason. Okay? Sinclair, Trips, Kelly, Scott. We got Thomas. They got a lot right here. It's a lot. Let's keep on. Alright, Thomas, Anderson, Richard, Jones, Pierce, Rogers, Smith, Palmer, Anderson, Phillips, Tellers, Dudley, Simpson, Simmons, Masons, Mason, I said Mason, Anderson, Hill, Cox, Harris, Porter, Summers, Tillerson, Warner, Warner, maybe, Williams, Latin, Callaway, Callaway, Hopkins, Callaway, look, Hopkins, Brown, Thomas, and this is in Maryland, y'all. Alright, so Palmer, Branson, Phillips, I think I read all this. Massey, Simmons, Mason, man, Chambers, I think I read all that. But y'all see, man, like I said, we reading from former Negro slave owners in the United States, and at this point in time, these people would have been considered freemen. All right. Maryland again, man. Maryland, boy, got a lot of black slave owners, man, or free Negro slave owners. All right. So, see, King, Long, Harris, Howard, Negro, Phil Negro, Crawford, McHenry, Mills, Parks, Dennis, Reagan, Long, I know a few of them. Massey again, Johnson, Stevenson, Miller, Marshall, Bowens, Norris, now do we know any Norris? Hammonds, I know a couple Hammonds, Stevenson, Thompsons, Robbins, yeah. So we got Long, Mills, Jenkins, Cornell. There's a bunch of these motherfuckers. Cornell, or whatever. See a lot of these. And look, how many slaves you own? Alright, so Mississippi probably short. Look, Mississippi small. Mississippi ain't had that many slave owners or whatever. And remember what they said when they came and did the enumerator. What they did was some people they just added on as slaves. Why? I don't know. That's some other research that we got to get into. But for the most part, that's what it says. Missouri, there was only one slave owner in Missouri, Dickinson. So we got family members in Dickinson and one named Scarlett. Anybody last name Scarlett? I don't know too many Negroes named Scarlett. They got New Jersey, man. What's she saying? New Jersey got a few. Green. You know what? I don't want to get off because we're trying to stick with the Freeman in New York. Look. Oh, here we go. Carolina, y'all. That's where we want to go. Jones, Anderson, Burner, Brown. And if you notice, like I'm reading these, most of these slaves are old slaves. Most of them, you see right here, Betsy Walker. Betsy, this is a woman right here. So if she's free, then this couldn't be one of her children. You know what I'm saying? Because her children will automatically be free. Well, maybe, you know what? This is the range of the ages. So I'm assuming, and it says she owned 3 slaves in total, is 7. So that means there's 4 other people in that household that wasn't slaves. So who knows? Maybe it could be 10 through 24. So that goes to show how old was her. How old was this lady? That might have been family or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Moore, Brown, Newton, Allen, Moore, Rose, Walker, Bowen, Johnson, Bozeman, Bosman, Green, Hollister, Streets, you know any Streets, Warwick, Green, Let me get some more water, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Look, man, it is what it is, y'all. I mean, like I said, man, these is probably already Aborigines that probably already was Christianized, that probably already been converted and gave their tribal ties up, or these was free Africans. You understand what I'm saying? That was able to own slaves and able to buy their way out of bondage. All right. So hold up. All right, here we go, y'all. So we got James, Hill, Ash, a couple Ash, Bowens again, blanks. I don't know no speed loves. Allen, Smith, Porter, McKenzie, Griffin, Spellman, Spellman, O, A-E-I-O-U, and sometime Y. Okay. Stanley. That's the reason why you see some of these spellings and they just got more vowels in them with an E right here. Okay. Jackson, Jordan, Wood, Freeman, Grimes, Hammond, Dennis, Dunn, Chester, David. I don't know too many people with the last name David. That's what we used to call two name niggas, man. Like he got two first names or whatever, man. It just used to be a joke, man. You see a joker named Stephen David, or you know what I'm saying, or John David. We, you know what I'm saying. That's some shit that kids or teenagers be hiking on people about. All right, so we got Dave Jones, Wilson, Anderson, Green. Sometimes A-E-I-O-U. Alright, so don't forget this probably was corrected to an E on it. Alright. So where we at? We still in Carolina. So you see it's a lot of slave owners in Carolina so far. You see what I'm saying? I just read a whole page off right here. Some of them other states that we was reading only had half a page, if not probably, you know what I'm saying, none. They didn't have none. Alright, all states didn't Aborigines or whatever. Some of these is not Aborigines also, remember that. Alright. Some of these are free Africans. Alright. Remember what Chief Langley said. He also said the biggest Indian slavery was in North Carolina. Okay. Now, there's other things that we can look at. We can look at the slave records of North Carolina and see how many slaves was actually in there at this point in time. And then we can break that down by this. But that's some research y'all got to do. I mean, I know let me see something. Do I got that already pulled up? So I had something like that pulled up. This was something else I had. Let me see what this is. This might be something relating to that. Alright. Nah, this ain't. I had something pulled up on that, but this is not it. I don't even feel like taking just keep it flowing with this. I'll do that in another video. Alright, so we got Roberts, Boone, Williams, Armstrong. Y'all know some Tuckers, Charles, Mitchell, Buckner. That's what I'm saying. See a lot of these names up here. We gotta really do further research to find out, because some of these free men was Aborigines who was converted at this point in time. This is 1830, y'all. Okay, so if they was already doing this since probably 20 years since they got here in the early 1600s, how long did it take for you to forget that you was probably a Powhatan? Or probably because your mother or your father then put you into that particular class and you forgot. Like the same thing we say now with the birth certificate. They done sold you into slavery. You understand what I'm saying? Pretty much. They done converted from there, cultural practices to adapt the cultural practices of others. Alright? So that's what also this is, like I said, this is a two-way theory on this. Alright? These are either Africans who brought their way into slavery, or these was Aborigines at this point in time who was already Christianized. Alright? So remember that. Keep that in mind, okay? So we'll keep it moving now. Alright, so we got Martin Hansford, Hanford, Cousins, yeah. Jordan, remember, A-E-I-O-U. Like, so this can disappear. Richardson, Howard, Jones, Mills, let's see, Walker, Campbell, Sampson. The interesting part is when you really look at these names and you really look at how many slaves they got. You understand what I'm saying? Let me see something. Slaves is on the left. See, you see some of these people own a lot of slaves. Let's see if some of the more common names own a lot of slaves. Walker, look, Walker owned 44 slaves. John Walker, look, he owned 44 slaves, man. Look, check this out. Look at his number, and it's interesting. John Walker owned 44 slaves, and this is the size of the family right here. So it was only him plus the 44 slaves. Hell knows how many they know was his children. Alright? Walker, y'all. Alright? Peters, Morris, Price, Harvey, Johnson, Teller, Curtis, more North Carolina, Winslow, Overton, Roberts, Nixon, Winslow, White, Lawrence, Maxwell, definitely, Holmes, Dunn, Smith, Williamson, Scott, Green, Jones again. Got Corsi, Holmes, Burt, I don't know too many Burks, Evans, definitely Green, yes. Boston's, only a few. Anthony's, yes. His first name was Negro. Anthony. Wow, that's what a hell of a fucking name. Brown, Pope, a couple of Popes. Mason, Shepherd, a couple of Shepherds, y'all. William Shepherd. Alright, so that was it for North Carolina. Let me see. So that was it for North Carolina. So we're gonna go into South Carolina now. And then we'll go to Tennessee and Georgia when we done. Alright? Hold up. Oh, let me see something. Oh, alright, we already read these. I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes, like I said, it be skipping, just to make sure we on page 28, 29. We read through this already. Yeah, it's Overton right there. Now we're in Ohio, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania again. See, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina. Here we go. Alright, so Davis, Payne, Brown, Houston, Powers, Powers, Davis, Holmes, Best, Ward, Walker again. Look, Walker owns a lot. Look, and it's the same kind of situation before. Now let's pay attention on Walker, alright? Now look, and remember, his slaves inherit his last name. Alright? So look, one is this family size, 25. So he got 24 slaves and it's him. Alright? Duncan, Wilkinson, Spencer, a few Spencers, a few Canes, James Parsons maybe. I don't know none of them. Alright, so we got some Davis, Freeman. This I'm on the left, alright. I'm in Steven, sorry. Let me see, hold on. Smith. Capers, Capers. Walker, Ward, Best, Morrison, Brown, Mitchell, C. It's my last name, C. Remember, interchangeable though. Mitchell, Richard. This ain't got an H in it. Gardner, Wilson, Rogers, South Carolina again, y'all. Look for that name. See, all right, here go Wilson. She only owned, see, she owned 5 slaves and it was only her. All right, so you got Bush, Elliott, Holmes, Brown, Savage, Brian, perhaps, Lloyd, Brown, May, Cooper, Graves, Graves, Thompson, Townsend, Middleton. I know a few Middletons, Williamsons, Gardner, Johnson, Jackson, Simpson, Cochran, Simmons, Cooper, Evans, Lindsay, Crowley. Nah, I don't know no Crowleys. Martin, Allen, Wilson, Mills, Ferguson, Harper. You see this guy right here, Bernie, Linda Burney owned 41 slaves. So that means that her whole household was 75. So that means that she had 35 members of her household. So this is the way you probably can tell whether or not to see if this was a way of her getting money. Because how would you take care of all these freaking people? You understand what I'm saying? But think about it like that. How many people we know with the last name Bernie? Or Burns? Do we know a few named Burns? Maybe. We see White. Let's see White, Wilson. Alright, but yeah, she got 75 total people in her household, and she owned 41 slaves. So she had a plantation. This was a Negro, y'all. Alright? So look out for last name Bernie. I know, I'm just fucking with y'all. There's really no way to indicate that. But this is just to give you an overall. This is in South Carolina. We did North Carolina. We did what else we did? Alabama. And next we're gonna do Tennessee and Georgia. Alright, so we got Matthews, Watkins, Gordon, Irving, Wright, Dwight, Johnson, Smith, Du Bois. Sorry about that. Du Bois, Nelson, Cooper, Pendleton, Seymour, Richards, Duncan, Johnson, Turner, Jenkins, Gibson, Brown, Gardner. Okay. Got Bateman, Smith, Brown, Campbell, Ball, Jackson. Here we got Lloyd, Smith, Wells, Newton, Brown, Lewis, Jenkins, Fuller, Levi, people named Levi, Johnson, McKenzie. Now you notice most of these people don't own a lot of slaves. They don't own a lot of slaves. And remember, they said that the Indians were slaves. So how do you know who are Indian that's in these tribes and who not? So if a black person owns an Indian slave, how did that Indian know that he's an Indian? You understand what I'm saying? And if they was moving slaves around like they said they was, you had slaves that was caught, captured certain tribes. Where did these people go and where are they at now? They don't even know what tribes they came from. Alright, so some of us might be descendants of them people. Simmons, Watts, Singleton, Smith, Cox, Ward, Stevenson, White, Maxwell, Harrison, Mitchell, Jones, Cole, North, I don't know, Teller, Harrison, Cole, Smith, Thompson. Alright. White, Matthews, Jacobs, Thorns, Miller, Francis, maybe, Johnston, Walker, Rice, Lee, Matthews, Roberts, Manuel, Brown, Cole, McCall, McCall, Maxwell, White, Roberts, Smith, Jones. Alright, so keep running through this. South Carolina continues. Got Lawrence, Shaw, I know Shaw, Ash, Shaw, Young. Yeah. Wilson, Pope, Payne, Simmons, Simon, I'm sorry, Wilkerson again, Holmes, Edward, Brown, Connor, Wayne Connor, no, I don't want too many Connors. So you got, let's see, Bell, Jackson, Johnson, Franklin, Wilson, Williams, Baxter, Glenn, I don't want too many Glenn, you mentioned Gregory, Kelly, yeah, Gregory, Bateman, maybe, Edward, Holmes, Lee, Edwards, Brown, alright. So I ain't got too many, got Wilson, Wall, Moore, Kinney, somebody on that one. You see the age. You see the ages of some of these people. They was living to 100 years old. Look, they saying that the ages, because remember he did the census, so he's saying that most of the people in this family is 55 to 100. So this 100. Look how many 100 years. I don't know if they get students up there just to throw it up there, but look how many people was living old back then. They were talking about people wasn't living long lives. Look how many hundreds you see across the board. Because them was indigenous people. Stretch people was not eating like that. You know, if you came on a slave ship, I don't know if you're gonna wear the tear of living that long, but look how long these people live, and these is indigenous people. So you saying 100 years. So one of the people in Logan family is 100 years old. Let's start right here. So Tucker, one person in Tucker family is 100 years old. This was done in 1830, so 1730, that person was born. Okay, and hell knows where they came from. Was they in VA or whatever? Small, Watson, Parker, Lee, Mitchell, Scott, Spikes, Harris, Moore, Stevens, Martin, Johnson. Okay. So, I'm not sure. Smith, God. Oliver, Thompson, again, Dennis, maybe, Leonard, yes, Patterson, yes, Moore, Green, Jackson, see? That could have easily been Jack's son. That's Jack's son right there. And then named him that, you understand? So, Brown, Holmes, Bell, Simmons, Mitchell, no, we'll go to Mitchell. Alright, so we go Tennessee. We're right into Tennessee. That's wonderful. Bass, Young, Teller. Notice a lot of these down south states had black slave owners. Alright, so first of all, let me just stop right here real quick, right? So we know now the original narrative of slavery is not what we've been told. They told you that all black people in this country were slaves. They told you that all black people from this country came here on a slave ship, which we clearly we proved it. We proved it by now. You understand what I'm saying? Now we just proved. Now we breaking down the intangibles. Like we started off with this black thing, and we say black. We're talking about the people who could be considered black or melanated or anything, or any melanated person. We started off with them being from Africa. Then we realized that it was melanated people in other places. We came here to America. Some people said, "Oh, I got Native American." We found out that the originally Native Americans wasn't really Native American; it was Aborigines. Okay, now we at this point to where we find it out. We also didn't know that a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, it wasn't no Indian slaves." I've been heard that there was Indian slaves, but to this point, and not me not understanding or what the hell is going on, because like I said, a lot of them Indian slaves captured, a lot of them slaves. So the people in Virginia might have been slaves, they might have been shipped out to Carolina, or they might have been sent to Georgia, or they might have been sent here or sent there, and that's the reason why you get a lot of these runaway, because they knew where they was going. You understand what I'm saying? So let's keep it moving. So we got Bell, Cook, Carhart, Hudson, Martin, Woodson. Alright, let's keep it moving, y'all. We got Brown, Denridge. I don't know too many Denridge. Henderson, David, James, yeah, Wilson, yes, Jones, yes, Dickens, I'm sorry, Dickens, Smith. Alright, so here we ain't going Virginia, y'all. We're gonna keep it moving through this, man. Oh no, I think I did. Did I do Georgia? I think I did Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. If I didn't do Georgia, I'm gonna go back up and do it. But let me get through Virginia, alright? So we got Berg, Curtis, Chancellor. I mean, yeah, Chandler, not Chancellor, sorry. Elliott, Parker, Stokely, T, Blake, Lewis, Hughes, Jackson, Clark, White. I don't know too many black people in the Osborne. Cole, Brown, Christian, Jackson, McMinnis, whatever, I can't pronounce it. I don't know nobody's last name that. Bird, Jackson, Smith, Clark, Fields, Jackson, Scott, Brown, Green, Lee, Walker, Scott, Elliott, Ellis, maybe. Alright, so we got Brown, Curry, Gates, Booker, Drew, Daniel, Edwards, Freeman, Kidd, Logan, Martin, Reynolds, Walker. Yeah, as you know, my eyes is getting exhausted from keep on looking at these names, but I'm gonna keep it moving. It's Booker, Butler, Shields, maybe. Yeah, Shields, I know Shields. Thomas, King, Bailey, Brown, Dunn, Booker, Carter, Jones, Edward. And you notice, like I said, a lot of these people only own a few slaves, man. When you see a lot of people own a lot of slaves, that shit was for exploratory purposes. Like I read up in the passage, we got Allen, Evans, Richardson, Hathaway, James Hathaway, Sims, I don't know too many Sims, Williams, Lee, Lewis, Williams, Majors, Campbell, Elliott, Wilson, Curry, Brown, Allen, Banks, Wilcox, Belly, White, Halcombe, whatever, Jackson, Teller, Callaway, Green, Woodward, let's say Harris, maybe that's spelled wrong. Lee, alright. And like I said, you see a lot of these numbers small, and if you really do the real research, you'll see that some of these people probably was their family. You know what I'm saying? There's really no way to actually prove that because there's no documents that's just going straight forward, but you know. Alright, so let's keep it moving. So you see Virginia, boy, is big. Virginia has a lot of slave owners, a lot of black slave owners, or whatever you want to call them, Aborigines, Africans, Moors, whatever you want to call them. Right? I mean, we gotta specify, but I mean, I guess the names is gonna be the next thing. Got to start breaking down some other things. What was going on in these periods and during this time? You know what I'm saying? And the historical record shows a lot. But you know, like I said, do you want to start off with Virginia, North Carolina? Well, if it was North Carolina at that time or whatever, you want to start off with Virginia, definitely Delaware, definitely even Massachusetts, um, Connecticut, New York, Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi and Louisiana. I mean, that's where you basically want to start at. But I'm gonna keep it moving. All right. So Woodlock, Woodlock, um, Smith, Harris. You know, look, man. As y'all can see, man, this shit is pretty. Yeah, Carter, another Carter. Um, Pierce, Cousins. Look through some of this already. Let's see, Brooks, Bell, Baker, Brown, Anderson, Macon, Peters, Murray, Langley. Got more Carter, Carter, Goodwin, Hunt, Harris, Hill, Hawkins, Harris, Henry, maybe. Harris, Jones, Johnson, Morton, maybe. Jackson, Jones, Harris, Cosby, Cross, Courtney, Butler, Braxton, Brown, Amos. I didn't basically read off almost every almost every. I'm not saying all, but I read off a whole lot of so-called Aborigines last names, man, in these different states, man. So hopefully this shit should help y'all find out some of your information if you do your independent research according to these names. So we got Jones, Johnson, Judah, Benjamin Judah. Look at that. Benjamin Judah, wow. Jackson, Jordan, King, Lee, Mitchell, Patterson, Ross, Randolph, Burke, Anderson, Williams, Webb, Scott, Smith, Reynolds, Page, Madden, Jackson, Jones. We got Carter, Cooper, Crump, Carter, Colbert, Dixon, that's Dixon, Williamson, Smith, Sampson. Damn, there was a lot of. Like I said, you could find this out. All you gotta do is go back to the West. This right here, this shows you the slave owners or whatever. In the different states. All I had to do was merge this with the Virginia records right here, but it doesn't show you in all the states. It only shows you in Virginia. All right. So we got Henderson, Johnson, Maxwell, Morris, Miller, Oliver, Prince, Robertson, Scott, Hawkins, Patrick. So as you see, man, that's a lot, man. Damn, it's a lot. Smith, Thomas, Tillman, Teller, Wallace, Woodson, Green, Crocker, Kristen, Jordan, Ash, Hill, Barlow, Baker, Johnson. Now, as you see, some of these names are only in some of these more common names like Carter and Williams and Johnson. We see them in all the different states, but some of these other, I haven't ran across with Woodson, so maybe that name is more common to the VA. All right, because I haven't ran across none of them other states when we were just reading them off. Look, Virginia continued again, god damn. So Adams, Johnson, or Jackson, Mitchell, Cross again, Jack, John, Joseph, Jack, Joseph Walker, and Joseph Walker. Oh yeah. Remember, y'all, when it was the first name Jack of Hawkson. What the fuck is this? Remember, he said the first name Oxford. So I don't know what. I don't really. Oxford, abroad, Nancy of Hair. What the fuck? Geo. I bet you these probably got a different story itself. But remember when he said the last name first name last, and then you see you got female. They got FN. See on right here on the side. Now some of the other ones didn't have that. Yeah, see, now you start getting into this and start getting a little different. See, some of them have FN. Alright. Damn, Virginia got a lot, bro. See Fox, you start seeing Fox, Lewis, Park, maybe, Watts, Elliott, Shepard, Hancock, I ain't see Hancock. Rogers, I ain't see Rogers. We seen Smith, Williams, Herbert, I ain't see Herbert, Gibbs, I ain't see Gibbs neither. Allen, did I see Allen? No, I don't believe I seen Allen neither, or Miller. Alright, so that go to show you a lot of these names wasn't all over, unless the different Europeans held them names as well. We probably could find them, but amongst us, like that's another way you have to do your research. You know, how did you get that last name? Was you a slave of the European, or was your people owner of the slaves, or was you a slave under the people the blacks who owned slaves? So that's a lot of different ways you could have got your name, but namely all these names are European. So these people had to at some point in time be converted into Christianity and into the colonist ways, like everything we read basically states that. Alright, so Nash, Jones, Goodwin. I don't think I seen Goodwin. I think I might have Cooper, Dixon, Smith, Africa. Look, it say right Africa. Now that's weird. Right Africa. Wow, that's weird. Okay. Hunter. I don't think I seen Hunter before. Well, I seen Hancock. Miller. Did I see Miller? I'm not too sure. Clayton, Smith, Singleton. I don't think I seen Singleton before. Lewis, Randall, Ball, Roundtree. I ain't see Roundtree before. Alright, Dixon. So man, like I told you, man, this shit is like really a lot of information, man. You gotta look through this if you're really sincere, really serious about what you're trying to do. You have to do your due diligence, man. People like me just stare you in certain places, and it's up to you to take the reins and take it from there, man. Alright, so Cooper, Johnson, sorry y'all, I'm getting a little exhausted. Walker, Lansford, Green, Hodges, Spencer, Bailey, Kerry, Jordan, West, Carr, etc. Alright, so damn, Virginia is long, y'all. Look, you see what it says? It says Powhatan County. There's only one person, Powhatan County, that owns the slave. Alright? Look, man, I'm gonna end it right here, y'all. Y'all get this, man, and y'all finish it off. You see the other names on here. More Virginia. Virginia is long as hell, yo, because you know what? Either them were slaves that was bought there, that bought their freedom, or them was people who was colonized. Remember, we see people working on the damn colonies, man. We see them working on the colonies. When you look at some of these images, man, we see them working on the colonies when we see some of these images. Alright, so we see Barbara, China, White, Howard, or whatever, man. But I'm gonna end it right here, man. I'm kind of exhausted. My eyes is like, I think that might be it anyway. Yeah, that is it. Let me just go back up here to Georgia real quick. Let me rock up to Georgia real quick, because I wanted to just see how many was in Georgia. think I passed Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like I said, man, and then when you're dealing with a lot of this information, man, I mean, from what I ran across, don't nobody know everything, bro. Everybody just saying that, yeah, you are Aborigine, but you got to dig in further and see how it relates to yourself, all right? So here goes Georgia right here. Now, you see, in Georgia, it wasn't that many black slave owners. It probably was like maybe, it's probably only 30 people on this list, if I count them, maybe under 30. But we definitely see Turner. We see a bunch of Turners. We see Perry, triplets. I do know a triplet. Brown, Moore, Kelly, Hill, Smith, Dent, Brown, Hicks, Haynes, Cobb. Now check it out, bro. Some of these names that I read off are descendants of these fucking slave owners. Alright, some of them not. Some of them might have been slaves that they might have held. Now, some of these are also Aborigine people, and some of these are also slaves. Alright, and some of these also are Moors that might have been freed. Okay, so there's a lot of different people that these people could have been, and there's a lot of different reasons for whatever he said. When you read it inside the in the beginning, it was saying that benevolent and the people who was exploiting them. So there's a difference. I guess the people who was exploiting them basically didn't care. The people who was benevolent, the ones who had a heart that was freeing these people. Like you read, there was people who was freeing these people, buying them and freeing them. You understand? So look, man, like I said, man, I put as pretty much as I can into this, man. The rest is up to y'all. You got to do your own research on this. Remember, you were trying to find out who the Freeman was that the Cherokees had dismantled. Now, this has something to do with it, because remember, all I read off was Cherokee. Was the Cherokee area. Okay, we went through Tennessee, the Carolinas, Virginia. We were there, Maryland. I just went through Georgia and Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, definitely, man. If you look, you see the names up here. If your family from some of these states, or whatever, find out. Do some further research on where your family came from and what state they belong to, and how does this apply to you, and who were these people? I mean, like I said, this shit is so confusing at this time, because you would think that at this time these same Negroes that I read off will still remember what tribe and everything they was from. Remember, it's 200 years after they came from Jamestown. If they was already talking in the original documents in the in the doomed devices of 1451, they was already talking about to subjugate you and put you under servitude and convert you into Christianity back then. So how long after they got here did it take for you to be converted? These are the reasons why you see a lot of these names. So a lot of these people are Aborigine people mixed in with some of these Africans. All right, because a lot of these people, and I'm not saying these people exactly, it's other people too. You know what I'm saying? But this is where you need to do your research from. If you're trying to find your family, this is just another angle for you to take, for you to find out or whatever though. But hey man, look man, just do your due diligence, all right? So that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.